Hello, and welcome to The Porch with Alicia Barlow. Hi, I'm Alicia Barlow, author of The Porch, a place for enjoyment, conversation with people, reflection, and encouragement. Hello, everybody. This is Alicia, author of The Porch. I am here today with Miss Sherry Williams. Miss Williams is the founder of an organization called PACE, which means Political Action Community Education. And I invited her to join me on the porch. I just want to talk to her about her organization and how it came about and some things that we need to, as people, to start being aware of and start preparing for as we start going into a more political environment. So, Ms. Williams, when was PACE founded, and how did you find out that this is something that you wanted to do to be more politically involved and to encourage others to get more politically involved?
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for having me here today.
Oh, yes.
And I love this story. It is a political awareness, community education, and PACE. We started in 2020. And how many times, I'm just going to ask you the question, how many times have you heard someone say, I wish someone would do this, someone should do this, and do this or that? And that's what I say. I even ask those questions. Someone should get this information straight. There's so much misinformation out there. And I said, why not me? Mm-hmm. So that's how it started. And if you think back to 2020, there were three major things that happened during that time. And I often, when I do my training and seminars, is to basically ask the question, can you name those three major things? If you stop for a second.
Well, I think one would have been COVID was occurring during that time.
Absolutely. COVID. There was also, you have anything else, the 2020 election. Okay. And there was a lot of people who really wanted to vote, but because of the pandemic, you're going to lose your life just going out of the home. There was no vaccine. The vaccine, they were still trying to develop a vaccine. They were really just trying to figure out the whole process. Mm-hmm. But this was early in the year. And the third major thing was the killing of George Floyd. Mm-hmm. And you think about the swell of people around the country and the world. Mm-hmm. There were people in over 80 countries that were protesting the brutal images, But to think that COVID is out there, mm-hmm. and to look at the crowds that were there.
Just the fear.
The fear, exactly.
So is that when your organization started? That's when you founded it?
Yes, we founded it along with some other like-minded people. Mm-hmm. We have been working to get people registered to vote, and we kept saying, we don't understand this need. Every time you turn around, you have to get people registered to vote. Mm-hmm. I said, well, if you keep doing the same thing over and over, and it's not moving forward, you need to change course. Mm-hmm. So with this, we thought we need to do something to let people know how easy it is to vote. And going back to just that George Floyd, the protest, I looked out and saw the sea of people here in Oklahoma City alone. And I asked the question, I said, how many of those people out there are registered voters? Mm. Protest is a right and a good thing, but if you're not registered to vote and you're not voting, you just...
Where's the change going to come?
Right. You're just taking a mad walk, I like to say. You've made an angry walk, and wow, you did it. Mm-hmm. But have you moved the needle in the issues that are important to you? Mm-hmm. So that's how it started. Okay. We first kicked off by realizing that, I'm going to ask you this. There's three questions that I heard over and over. 3 words, I meant, of course, 3 words is people are saying, oh, I heard that. And when you ask the people who say people are saying, you say, what
are they saying?
Yeah, who are the people? Where did you hear that from? You heard that. Where did you hear that from? Well, I don't know. I read it on the internet, social media. And I realized there's a lack of knowledge in the area of finding out what's real and what's not real. And in that time, there was so much hysteria.
Yeah.
There were even people talking about, oh, they're going to come in the middle of the night and round us up. And I said, you get exhausted. Say, where did you hear that from? I don't know, but people are saying. Yeah. So that's where it started.
So you say we. So is there a group of you that started the program?
Yes.
Or the organization?
Yes, okay. There's a group of us, the core people. We have like our directors or head of like 7 different areas. Okay. And we started off just, getting people registered to vote or letting them know. Actually, when we started this in 2020, there were people trying to get their vaccines or trying late at night, trying to keep hitting that inner key to get an appointment. Some had to travel in smaller communities outside of the metropolitan area in the little towns because they could get an appointment for a vaccine. Mm-hmm. And then there are other people who were talking about the vaccine, that they're going to inject it in you. Like, okay. They say, remember Tuskegee? I said, do you know what happened in Tuskegee? You need to know your history. First of all, it wasn't that anyone injected, they just were not providing the care. So we started with helping people to know how to do those things. There was also
how to access the information.
Exactly. Okay. And also there were members, we would hear people were concerned about the stimulus check. It's, I'm not going to take that because it's just going to be taxed later or something to that effect. And it's a trick. I said, this paranoia or if you know more, you could make better decisions.
So do you have a background in political information, and so that made this more something that you wanted to really do?
Well, my family, my father, his name was Eddie Stamps. He was very active in the NAACP. Okay. And also voter registration, things of that nature. So I grew up seeing this. Okay. And I have a friend that her name is Willeen. She and I often would compare notes of different things about, family members or things that would make things better in our community. Okay. And so with that being said, we've been doing this for many years before we even started PACE. So the background is just knowing that, these are things, in order to make things different or better, we have to do the things that make things better.
Okay. And I apologize. I said political action, but it's political awareness. Right. Because we do have to be aware. And I think awareness does promote action.
Exactly.
Yes. But yes, we have to be aware. Okay. And I apologize for that.
No problem.
All right, great. So those, because you can be aware and not be active.
Correct.
All right. And so there's where your education comes.
Exactly.
And so what are some things that you do to educate people?
Okay. There are 2 legs of, PACE is twofold. Okay. We want to promote a network of active voters, a network of people who are eager and realize they can make a difference, because there are so many elections that locally, if you look at local elections, yes, they miss about maybe 50 votes or 100 votes. And we just had an election recently, and there are so often people don't even know that there is an election.
There's, I try to people is the local elections, or things that are happening locally, are so important. We have to go out there and tell our voices and make our voices known locally so that we can be recognized more nationally.
Right. And you can be represented because that's what you have people representing you. There has been elections that, increased our sales tax permanently, not the penny sales tax. And guess when that is? It's not during the presidential election when some people feel that we vote only every 4 years and go to sleep and hibernate. That's not the way you become a full citizen. That's not the way you are a full citizen, because you have to make sure that things are working for the best interest in your community. And it would be great if every community would realize the importance of this. So that's one thing. Now, that's now as far as the other training for community education, we have a list of things that we educate or plan to educate on the community. Excuse me. Just things that would help, for example, Alzheimer's support, caregivers type, finance. And the list goes on. There are several things, how to transfer on death deeds, things of that nature.
So these are seminars or community gatherings that you all have for education of people in the community.
Exactly, and it's open to the public. And by the way, we're nonpartisan, because this information is just, if everyone would vote, it would be the representation of what the will of the people is. Those are a big silent majority, and they have the power to do a lot, and they have no idea of their power because they only vote every 4 years. If they vote. We have some people that are not even registered. So, and I'll just tell you some of the initiatives as I stated. Yes. We have the voter education, and in Oklahoma, we have some of the best resources as far as voting. And we promote several things to help you know when every election is. That's one thing. That's voter education.
And as you talk about some of these things that you have coming up, do you have something coming up? Do you have a voter education class coming up soon?
We have one coming up in January. We were just trying to secure the location before we actually say the date. Okay. So we definitely, and we're right now receiving pledges of what we call the Keeping It 100 pledge. Okay. And that is where you pledge or promise that you're going to vote in every election you're eligible to vote in. And now last year was a presidential election, and I think there were probably about 7 elections that year. The year after is this year. There are 12 possible elections. Okay. Sometimes special elections, but people feel, oh my goodness, I voted, I'm done. No. You have a lot of work to do every year. So also one of our other initiatives is election precinct workers, to tell people, to really see the behind the scenes, it'll be good to consider being a precinct worker so you can fully understand the process. And I'm a precinct worker, and probably a lot of people in our crew are precinct workers. And you'll be surprised, in elections, you may have 3,000, or let's say 2,000, 1,500 people in the book. And on an election, we may have 30 people come out. Wow. And that's less than 1%. And that's awful. That is awful. So it's heartbreaking because you say, my goodness, what is it going to take? So hopefully people realize that.
And it's also good that, and good when you are going out to vote to see a person representing that looks like you,
right? Yes.
So if you're able to do that, I think that's wonderful,
and it is really fun. You get to meet people, and if you may get in your own area or not far from it, You could also choose to be a floater. That means that you work wherever you fill in. You still have a parameter where you would like to work. Okay.
And this is you don't get paid a lot. I've just kind of heard about this. But there is a stipend of
Very
some
good.
sort.
When I first started, we'd have training at the county at a county election board. So Oklahoma County is where we are, and I had no idea. I thought it was a volunteer, totally volunteer. So when we started, it was like when you actually work, it's like $67. Of course, that wasn't a lot of money, but if you're just to see the process, as I said, I wanted to do it. I would have done it for free, but it's now $200 a day.
Yeah, so that's an incentive for someone out there who wants to get more involved.
Exactly.
To check it out.
Right. So that's pretty neat. We also have a research section where we have a person who may research the candidates or issues. Now, we tell no one ever how to vote.
Now, this is within PACE.
Within PACE,
research. Okay.
Or we can tell them how to find or where to go to look this information up, Right. A community outreach and education, that's what I was speaking on, different things that can help people, with, just things that make their family stronger and better. With strong family, you have stronger communities. Okay, public relation, that's the people who get information out. I have a historian, we may have an opening for that right now, and elected official outreach. Okay. So that's where you, call or write a letter to your elected official, and we show people how that process and how simple it is. It may be a phone call, email, or a letter.
So do you have like a seminar or whatever to let people know how to get in touch with their elected officials and who their elected officials are within their area?
Well, in
their district?
in our training, we call it basic training. We have the information on how you find out your precinct location, your elected official, what district you're in. Okay. And you kind of think of all these questions where, do you know who your city council, we start out with, hey, we want to know if you know, always start from the president to, the city council person, those type of things. You just need to ask all the way your U.S. representative, do you know what House district you're a part of? Okay. Who's your state senator, your state representative? Okay. And those things are important, and teach people how to move forward, to advocate for their needs or questions they may have. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Those was that 7 you said?
Yes, 7.
Okay, and those are things that you all cover.
Right. Now, as far as the training, we teach, one of the things we sort of start off with showing people, because you'd be surprised. I did a workshop not too long ago. It was probably 50 people there, and they're mostly seniors. And a lot of people do not use QR codes or not familiar with it. And I always feel QR code is a neat way to, get as much information out, or where you don't have to worry about someone typing the information in incorrectly. And the OK Voter portal is something that is a powerful tool to find out, when you're a sample ballot, if there's an election coming out, to ask for an absentee ballot, to find out your polling location, your representative, all those things are in there. Okay. So we start off with those type of exercises, or fun exercise on how to use the QR code. There were like 50 people there. Asked them raise their hand. About 4 people raised their hand. I was very surprised. Okay. Yeah.
So do you encourage, voting at any way you can do it is what you want. But I know a lot of times people talk about mail-in voting and how that maybe is a little bit more accessible especially for some of our seniors. And maybe people that may have some disabilities. And I think a lot of people that it's just convenient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We definitely advocate. We definitely promote that, because people often thought, even in the beginning, I said, if I do an absentee ballot, what if I wait too long and don't have time to get it in there? I won't be able to vote. No, that's not true. An absentee ballot you can actually, first of all, get it early before the election. We're talking about weeks, sometime over a month, to be able to look at everything at home, the comfort of your home, and vote in your home. Of course, there are two types of absentee ballots. There's one that needs to be notarized and one that just needs 2 witness signature. If you're a caregiver for someone and you can't just leave them at home, you can get the one that requires just 2 signatures. Okay. Or if you're just physically unable to leave yourself, let's say that, hey, I'm in a wheelchair, I don't have a car, you can receive an absentee ballot. And I recommend it I get it.
Which one requires notarization? If
you're able-bodied. If you're able-bodied, you require a notary. And you can get the notary from many times banks, financial institutions. I've even gone to funeral homes. Let me see, I think, anyway, you can find a notary, and they're free. They cannot charge you to notarize your document. Notarize your document.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting. That's good. That's good. Now you mentioned there are like 12 upcoming elections 12 elections coming up in 2026?
No, 2025. There 2025 there were 12 possible elections.
Oh, okay.
And that doesn't mean that you yourself would have an election. The one that a couple of months ago, I do believe, it was just Oklahoma County that I knew of, but it could be something going on in Lawton, Tulsa, wherever, but in Oklahoma County. But it wasn't not Oklahoma City, but it may not be one in Midwest City or Edmond. Yes. This week, there was one in Edmond, in Midwest City, Choctaw, and some other places, but not in Oklahoma City area. And it was a school board, so it could be a little niche of it.
And those are important, too.
Yes.
Those school board ones.
Yes.
And so, you sometimes you don't even hear about them until you see it on the news.
Exactly.
How can someone find out more about what elections are going to occur before they hear about it even on the news?
Absolutely. I'm going to hand you this. This is we pass out these voter schedule of elections card, but the best way that everyone, even people out listening to us here in the state of Oklahoma, get registered to ask for an absentee ballot, and you ask it for the whole year. You have to ask for it every year. Usually December you can start, but ask for an absentee ballot. That way you don't have to wonder.
They just send it to you.
It'll be there. Like, oh, what's this? This big envelope. Oh, there you have it. It's like a tickler, or a trigger to let you know there's an election. Not only there's an election, this is what's on the ballot.
Okay. So they send it to you before. Okay.
Yes,
good
that's the 100% way to never miss an election that you're eligible for.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Good to know. All right. So people, get your pen and paper and send out and request that absentee ballot.
Absolutely.
And and how do you do that? Is it just, request, or is there a form that you have to fill out to request? There is a form.
You can actually go out to the OK Voter portal. Okay. And I do believe we have a website called PACE Oklahoma. That's PACE Oklahoma. And on the right-hand side right now is a little place where you can register online, provided you have an Oklahoma State ID or driver's license. And I do believe in that same area, you can also find the way to request an absentee ballot, or you can just go in person. Okay. Or download the app online and mail it in.
Okay, sounds great. Sounds great. anything else you want to kind of tell us about coming up in 2026 that we need to be aware of?
Well, 2026, I think I have the card that I gave you. I think there are 6 possible elections. 6 elections. There are 3. There's a new law that passed, and things like that. There are a lot of laws that pop up, and we have to find out what is impacting the voting process. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really sure, but I know January, March, and December are what is called conditional election. Okay. And that is not, those are only if the governor calls an election. Okay. Right. And you, as on this card or information, it has it even on the website. If you go on the website, you look at important dates.
Okay, and I'm going to say so people know what I'm looking at. The card that you gave me, it has 2026, and it has election day. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dates. Okay, and then you have another column that has the registration deadline. Mm-hmm. So those are the deadlines to register for that election day. Okay, and then there's a required deadline if you're going to do absentee. Right, a deadline to request your absentee. Okay. Yes, and 3 of these elections, I'd say there are not, they may not happen at all. Those are the ones with asterisk, and that would be January, March, and December. Okay. But anyway, when you reach out, and what we want people to do to, check on your family, check on your friends. We teach you how to talk to people. Okay. We teach you how to talk to people with respect and do not embarrass people, because it's hard to admit that you haven't voted in 10 years, 5 years, or never voted. And you have to realize this is a new process. And if you think about the Voting Rights Act, it's been 60 years where other people have always voted. Yeah. But 60 years is not a long time.
That's my point. It's only been 60 years, and if it hasn't been taught that, we can vote now, and not we must vote. Yeah. That's the difference. Yeah. We can vote. Oh, it's optional. Yeah. No, it's not optional. It's important if you value a quality of life.
To make a difference, make your voice heard.
Yes.
Ms. Williams, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you for listening and joining me on the porch. Remember to take time to reflect, share memories, and engage with others on your porch. And I'll meet you here next time on The Porch, your podcast for community conversations. Brought to you by the Possibilities Podcast platform.